What's going on, guys? It's Matt. On today's episode of TKWU, we're taking a look at Mikal Bridges. So Bridges had an incredibly successful season this year at Villanova, winning the national championship, being the best player on his team. Yes, better than Jalen Brunson. He really benefited from spending multiple years at Villanova. He won 2 national championships, one a couple years ago and then one this year. But it wasn't until this season that he solidified himself as a lottery pick. His playing style lends itself well to the NBA thanks to his 3-and-D potential. He's a 6'7" forward with a 7'2" wingspan, and those measurables are constantly on display when he's playing. He gets in passing lanes, he elevates over the top of the defense, he dunks it. People that came from Mikal will always point to these traits as a reason why he'll be an elite NBA 3-and-D guy. So let's kick it right off with his defense, which people are really excited about once he gets to the next level. He has active hands, as I mentioned before. He gets in the passing lanes like no other, and he blocks a lot of shots coming from the back end. It's really impressive. And he's just such a pest. He's the last guy that players in the Big East wanted to go against this year. He averaged over a steal and block per game, which not many guys in D1 did. Simply put, he is just a chaos creator on defense. And what are the type of athletes that we want in today's NBA? We want long, lengthy wings that can switch onto point guards. That's certainly something that Mikal can do. Some smart people have pointed out that he is not the most burly guy, so he might struggle in the post. He often gets compared to the likes of Otto Porter and Robert Covington as a 3-and-D guy on the wing, but they're not quite the same because Covington is a little thicker. Porter was a little bit of a different player in college, but we've seen guys with the mold of Mikal do well on defense. Look at the Celtics this year with Tatum and Brown that both measure similarly to Mikal. You throw Mikal in an NBA defense and he'll be ready right away to make an impact. He's going to have to switch on guards, which he can do, and in the post he might have a problem right away, but you also have to adjust depending on your personnel. So Mikal might be put in different scenarios based on what type of NBA defense he joins. You just love his intensity. He is all in all the time on the defensive end. I want to highlight one play real quick here that's reminiscent of one Frank Ntilikina. Look at how Bridges is able to recover and use his long arms to get into the passing lanes. That is not a skill that can be taught. So defensively, you know exactly what you're getting out of Mikal Bridges. There's some concerns for the other wing options, namely Kevin Knox and Miles Bridges, about what they can provide on the defensive end. No such concerns exist for Mikal. We can nitpick some of the parts of his game that might suffer right away, but you have to feel confident about his IQ, his chaos creating ability on the defensive end, and his experience. He's been playing in top-notch defenses for a long time now. He knows exactly where to be, and he'll acclimate well to the NBA. So the other component of the 3-and-D wing in the NBA is, of course, the 3. Bridges scored in the 98th percentile. Yes, you heard that correctly. 98th percentile in terms of spot-up shooters this year. It can be understated how much of a weapon he was from 3. Villanova used him in a lot of different scenarios. They'd run him off screens. They'd spot him up a lot in the corners. He had an innate ability to find a good spot on the floor. And look at that release. To get over the top of a defense, that is difficult to do. Nova had the best offense in the nation, and to be frank, one of the best offenses in college basketball history this year. And that's in no small part due to the contributions of Bridges. He shot 51% from the floor and a whopping 44% from 3. The sheer amount of weapons that Jay Wright had at his disposal this year, from Bridges to Brunson to Spellman to DiVincenzo, Villanova was just an absolute unit. Jay Wright's reputation has really shifted in the college basketball landscape recently because when he was first at Villanova, he was often regarded as a loser. But recently, he has revamped that offense, modernized it, and turned it into an offense that looks a lot like the modern NBA. So because of that, it's not hard to imagine Bridges seamlessly fitting into the NBA as it is now. Mikal is also so exciting as a three-point threat just because of his consistency beyond the arc. He was the backbone of this Nova team and answered the bell whenever they needed. You can see it from all these clips. When he's firing off a 3, I remained convinced it was going in every single time. He's got the smooth release above the head, provided such a nice outlet for Jalen Brunson and the other playmakers on Villanova, so it's hard to picture a scenario where this part of his game doesn't translate well. Honestly, NBA coaches should look how Jay Wright used him at Villanova and utilize him in the same way. His three-point shooting is intoxicating, and it has to be the main reason why he's getting drafted in this lottery. Teams like his defense, but the shooting is really where his money's going to be made. So I want to feature a few clips about Mikal with his ball handling because it's a complaint that some have about his game, rightfully so. He scored in the 98th percentile as a pick-and-roll passer for what it's worth. That comes from a pretty small sample size, so I wouldn't put that much stock in it, but still. For what I like about his game, he's got a nifty ability to finish around the rim, and a lot of these he manages to get around a defense. He shies away from contact because he doesn't want to get fouled. So that's the yin and the yang you have with wing scorers, right? Are they a nifty finisher because they don't want to get fouled, and is that going to be a positive part of their game? Or should they try to go in harder, get to the foul line, and do some damage there? I don't believe that Bridges possesses a ton of upside in this part of the game, which obviously limits his ceiling. But he's certainly not useless. If he could get a more consistent game off the dribble, that would make his three-point shot even more lethal and would put even more pressure on a defense to worry about him at all times. Okay, so I used this part of the video to talk about how the player fits with the Knicks. The main point that I want to talk about for this specific purpose of this video is the type of player the Knicks should be targeting in this draft. Mikal Bridges is a good player that will be a good pro in the NBA. A lot of Knicks fans have fallen in love with him, and hey, you know what? It makes sense. You got a shooter, a guy that's going to defend. What do we love in the Garden? Guys that really lock it down on defense, and guys that can nail the three to make the crowd go wild. I still like Mikal Bridges quite a bit as a prospect, and I'd be excited if the Knicks took him. But the thought I've been toying with recently is just what kind of prospect should the Knicks be looking at? Are they in a position to take a guy that does not have a high ceiling? Is that the type of player that we want to bring into this roster? And listen, my logic when I've talked about it in the past is you get a guy like Mikal Bridges to pair with a Porzingis and a Ntilikina. He provides a sense of stability for a roster that's in desperate need of it. And that logic is completely sound. I think if that's how the Knicks decide to attack this draft, I am okay with it. But it's hard not to watch the likes of Kevin Knox and Mikal Bridges and have thoughts in your head about the potential upside they have that Mikal simply doesn't. There are arguments to be made, and there are arguments that I have made in the past, that Mikal might have an upside that is untapped and that we might not see right now. But he's going to be 22 years old when the season starts. Knox and Bridges are going to be 18 and 20 respectively. That is a huge, huge difference. So basically what it comes down to is, on one hand, you have Mikal Bridges. You know what he's going to do for you. He's going to shoot threes. He's going to defend. He's going to work hard. And on the other hand, you have Mikal Bridges and Kevin Knox, two upside guys. It's a completely different game. The Knicks can go in two different directions here. It's a matter of what they want to do as a franchise. If they take Mikal Bridges, it's clear they're targeting a player that they know what to expect out of, that they don't want to have be a huge project for the future. But if they decide to go in the direction of a Kevin Knox, that is a completely different proposition. So when it comes to draft day, you have to ask yourself, would you rather have the Knicks take the guy with the higher upside that can be a great player, potentially an all-star, or take the player in Mikal Bridges that you can slot into the roster, feel good about him for the next few years, and start to build that starting lineup from the inside out? It's a great question, and I certainly don't have the answer. The Knicks are in a position that they can go both directions, so what they decide to do will completely be up to Perry and company. I've been leaning toward the latter option recently. The NBA is an all-or-nothing league. The Knicks need to shoot for the stars. They have Porzingis already. Do what you can to give yourself every opportunity to get a star player to pair with him. With that being said, if the Knicks decide to take Mikal Bridges, I'll be happy too. He is going to be a great Knick. He'll be a guy that you can rely on, which is something, as I mentioned, and we all know, they desperately need. Just please a wing and not Colin Sexton. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Have a couple more videos coming up before the draft in just a couple days. We have a lot of content. We have a live show that's going to go on during the draft. It's going to be a blast, so keep an eye out. So until next time, Matt, signing off.